My best friend's boyfriend just told me that he's really into me, even though he's planning to ask my best friend to marry him. Now, I have to decide whether to ruin things for everyone. Posted by you asking for advice. My bestie Kate, 26, and I, 23, have been friends forever, and I love her with all my heart. We're very open with each other and we're extremely open and honest with each other, about as close as two people can be without being romantically involved, though it's a running joke that we're wives because of this. Because of her meticulous nature, we've previously talked about random scenarios and what we'd like the other person to do in each situation. These include things like if a guy asked one of us out to the other, if we both developed feelings for the same person, and even scenarios like if one of us died, one of us would have to deal with the dreaded if I had a boyfriend and he had feelings for you scenario. The potential for this has come up a few times in conversation over the years and varying degrees of. We've talked about it a few times over the years and we've taken it more or less seriously. We've agreed that it would be awful and terrible, but we don't agree on what we'd want to know in that situation. I'd always want to know, but she wouldn't. She's been very clear about this every time it's come up, no matter what question I've asked or how I've changed the situation. She's always been 100% clear that she'd never want to know. 3 years ago, Kate started dating Gabe, who's 26. He'd been around for a while, so we both knew him, and I never thought much about him other than that he seemed cool and nice because he was around. He joined the rest of our group of friends and got on well with all of us. The boys love him, the girls are happy for Kate because he's genuinely perfect for her, and most importantly, she is over the moon. She's always wanted to be in love. It's a dream of hers. He's a very kind and considerate person. He always shows her and everyone else the utmost respect. Gabe and I get along well, even if we don't hang out on our own. We'll chat a bit, chat about basic stuff like music and jobs, and then hang out as a trio. He also has small talk with some of our other friends, which I think is great because he's interested in her life and the people around her. Gabe and I get on well. We don't hang out on our own, but we'll chat about basic stuff like music and jobs, and we'll hang out as a trio. He also has small talk with some of our other friends, and I always thought it was great because he was interested in her life and the people around her. I've always felt a bit different from my friends. I was moved up a few years in school, so all my friends are just a little older than me, and I've been the baby of the group my whole life. Most of us went from high school to the same university. I've never been interested in dating. I've had some interest from guys, but I'm a bit of a daydreamer. I'm obsessed with my chosen field and I don't want to have children or get married. I've always had a soft spot for love, but I've always been happy on my own and I'm not in a rush to change that. There's a bit of a joke in our group about me dying alone, surrounded by nothing but dogs. It's all in good fun, and over time Gabe also joined in the jokes that I noticed that as he got closer to the group, he always seemed very interested in my love life and encouraged me to go after my dreams and take my time. Kate always did we often joke about me dying alone, surrounded by nothing but dogs, etc. It's all in good fun, and over time Gabe has joined in on these jokes as well. I noticed that as he became closer to the group, he always seemed very interested in my love life and encouraged me to pursue my dreams and take my time. Kate always did the same. I never thought much of it. Then about 4 months ago I met a 25-year-old guy who I really liked. We'll call him Max because that's his name. It was a complete surprise. He came into my life and we've had a very nice romantic relationship. Because I'd never had a relationship before, I've spent a lot of time talking. About a year ago, I met this guy Max and we got on really well. I'll call him Max since that's his name. It was a total surprise and we've had a really nice fairy tale-like romance. Since I'm new to all this, I've been talking to Kate a lot about all the feelings I've been having. She's happy for me and gives me advice. Gabe is often in the same room when this is happening, so he sometimes gives his opinion. Everything is perfect and awesome, but then Gabe starts acting weird. We're all having drinks together, and I'm telling Kate about all the things I've been feeling lately. She's really supportive. She even gave me some advice. Gabe is usually around when this is going on, so he sometimes joins in. Everything seems perfect and great, but then Gabe starts acting weird. We're all having drinks together and I'm telling the group about Max, and he just starts acting really strangely. He warned me saying normal things, but Max does some weird things. He even showed up out of the blue to take me on a stargazing date late at night. I love surprises and I study astronomy, so I told Gabe how dangerous it was for me to go. He said it was dangerous for me to go alone, etc. Gabe has always been friendly, supportive, and nice to and about everyone, so much so that Kate started to doubt Max and his intentions purely because Gabe is a great judge of character, while all my other friends think Max sounds great and laugh Gabe off as bizarre. During this time, Gabe revealed to me, Gabe has always been friendly, supportive, and nice to and about everyone. In fact, he's such a great judge of character that even Kate started to doubt Max's intentions. While all my other friends think Max sounds great and laugh Gabe off as strange, during this time he revealed to me that he was going to ask Kate to marry him. Hooray! That's really great. I had to keep it a secret for now, but I was really excited for them. He told me so he could get advice on the ring and how she'd like to be proposed to. Finally, it all reached the tipping point when Max met my friends and they all He told me he was going to ask Kate to marry him. I couldn't believe it, it was so exciting. I had to keep it a secret for now, but I was really excited for them. He told me so he could get advice on the ring and how she'd like to be proposed to. Then the moment of truth arrived when Max met my friends, and they all really liked him. Everyone was getting along, and Max and Gabe were chatting on the side. Suddenly, Gabe put his glass down hard on the table and stormed out of the bar. Kate was confused and went after him, and I went over to Max to see what was going on. Max looked really shocked. He told me that Gabe was acting like a big brother, a behavior he had seen in a few of the other guys in the group. Max said that most of the others had just been joking around, but Gabe was taking it seriously. The point where he got up and stormed out was because Max had been talking about how serious he was about me and how no one had to worry. So, the whole big brother routine, that's something he'd picked up from a few of the other guys in the group. Max said that most of the others just played around, but Gabe was a lot more serious. He got up and quickly left because Max had been talking about how serious he was about me, and how no one had to worry. He'd said that he'd never dream of hurting me. Later on, Max suggested maybe Gabe was jealous, but I wasn't really convinced. I have to say, Gabe has never done or said anything that ever seemed like he was interested in me. He's always been the same to me as to anyone else in our group. The only difference is that he's gotten to know me more because I spend a lot of time at Kate's place. I decided I'd had enough, so I messaged Gabe first. I asked him if he was okay, and then I said I hoped everything was cool between us. The following conversation made it clear to Gabe that it's not cool that I don't trust that guy. The thing is, he knows me better now because I spend so much time at Kate's. I decided I'd had enough, so I messaged Gabe first. I asked him if he was okay. Then I said I hoped everything was cool between us. The conversation that followed made it seem like he wasn't okay, and that I don't trust him. Why is that? No one else gave off bad vibes. My ex and my friend even invited him to the beach tomorrow. He looks at you strangely. I can't explain it properly. You've known me for a long time, and you know I have your best interests at heart. Trust me on this. I understand that you can't help it if you get bad vibes. I'm sorry, but I need more than you saying you trust me to go on regardless. I appreciate your concern, but I'm capable of making my own mistakes, and I don't think this is one. It would mean a lot to me if you could try and get along with him to make it easier for him to fit in. I'm going to keep him around for a while, and Kate wants to do double dates and stuff, so you're going to run into him eventually. 1, I don't like the idea of a double date, and 2, even if they didn't, I don't want him to come. 1, you should talk to your girlfriend about that, and 2, do you really not like him that much? He seems alright, but kind of weird. I'll keep him around for a bit, and Kate wants to do double dates and stuff, so you'll probably run into him at some point. 1, double date sounds lame, and 2, even if they didn't, I don't want him to come to that with your lady. And 2, do you really not like him that much? I mean, he seems alright, but it's strange how someone who's into theater can be so alpha. I'm just jealous. I don't like the idea that theater guys can't be manly, but I also know the group is really tight. Everyone really likes you. You've been one of us for years now. Max got a lot of attention tonight because he's the new guy. I'm sorry if you felt left out, but I promise. I know you're a theater kid and I'm really alpha, but I'm also jealous. I don't think theater guys can't be manly, it's just that I'm used to the group being tight. Everyone really likes you. You've been one of us for years now. Max got a lot of attention tonight because he's the new guy. I'm sorry if you felt left out, but I promise it's not like that. He didn't reply for a while and then sent this. I've been thinking very carefully about how to phrase this message. I don't want you to think I don't love Kate because I do, but I am also in love with you and have been for about 2 years. When I realized, I thought about breaking up with her. I know it's not like that. He didn't reply for a while, then he sent this. I've been thinking really carefully about how to say this. I don't want you to think I don't love Kate because I do, but I'm also in love with you. I felt this way for about 2 years. When I realized, I thought about breaking up with her, but you were always so in your own world. I thought there was no chance, especially as I was your boyfriend's best friend. I put my feelings to one side and moved on. It was hard and it sucked. I got over it kind of. I thought that if I couldn't be with you, then at least I could be happy with her and be near you. I tried to get over it, but it was hard. I thought that if I couldn't be with you, then at least I could have happiness with her and be near you. But then you met Max, and watching you fall in love with him was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. I know this is cliché and over the top, but I feel sick every time you talk about him. I wanted to hit him last night. I'm really sorry, but I have to say something. When I saw Max, I knew right away that I wanted to be with him. I felt sick when I heard you two were an item. I thought it was so unfair and I felt like hitting the guy. I'm sorry to talk about this now, but I do love Kate. I want to marry her. I would rather you were upset when I found out he was actually a nice guy. I think the only thing worse than you being with another guy is you being with another guy I actually like. I'm sorry for talking about this. I know it's not fair to do this now. I do love Kate, you know I do. I want to marry her. I would rather you didn't tell her, but what happens next is up to you. If you're joking, that's not funny. Please tell me the truth. Sorry, but that is the truth. What are you going to do? I haven't sent him anything back. After that, he sent a few more messages asking what I'm going to do. I replied to say I'm thinking. I didn't tell her, but what happens next is up to you. If this is a joke, it's not funny. Please tell me the truth. Sorry, but that is the truth. What are you going to do? I haven't sent him any messages. After that, he sent a few more messages asking what I'm going to do. I replied to say I'm thinking of editing. Since I posted this, he has sent quite a few more messages asking what I was going to do. I told him I still hadn't decided, but I also made it clear that I don't feel the same way about him. I am devastated, and how I feel is nothing compared to how my best friend would feel if she knew. I really want to tell her. I know that if I were her, I would want to know. I don't want to marry a guy who wasn't honest with me about something like that. But it was at the start of this year that we last joked about this exact situation, and she was still very clear that she wouldn't want to know. I know that's not true. I know I shouldn't blame myself, but I still feel terrible. I'm wondering if I did anything to make him feel this way. And if I can keep acting like he never said anything. He never liked her anyway. Max was with me when I got the message and has been very supportive, but a little annoyed with him. I'm really sorry, but I still feel terrible. I'm wondering if I did anything to cause this, and if I should keep acting like he never said anything. He doesn't feel the same way about me. They've never been. Max was with me when I got the message and he has been really supportive, although he is a bit annoyed with him. For obvious reasons, send help. Update: 5 days later, there were lots of different opinions on what to do, and many of you had really good reasons. However, there were 2 things that most people agreed on. 1, this situation sucks and there's no ideal solution, and 2, everyone agreed with the letter idea suggested by a few people. The plan was to write a letter, include the screenshots and evidence I had, and then offer the option to learn the truth. She could choose whether. For obvious reasons, I sent help. Update: 5 days later. There were lots of different opinions on what to do, and many of you had really good reasons for them. However, there seemed to be consensus on 2 points. 1, this situation sucks and there's no ideal solution, and 2, everyone seemed to agree with the idea of writing a letter that some people had suggested. The plan was to write a letter, include the screenshots and evidence I had, and then offer the option to learn the truth. This way she could choose whether or not she wanted to know. I did feel a bit like I was forcing her to do something, but here's what happened. I put everything in an envelope and went to her place while Gabe was at work, under the guise of just hanging out, pretty usual stuff. Read it. I'm not a terrible actress, but this woman knows me so well. She opened the door straight away, looked at me and asked what was wrong. I felt so ashamed that I started crying. I was so pathetic. It wasn't ideal. When I calmed down a bit, I started explaining what I'd been thinking about in my head. I told her that something we talked about a lot in our hypothetical scenarios had actually happened. I reminded her that she'd always said she wouldn't want to know what I wanted, so I gave her the option. Then I gave her the letter without even opening it. She started crying too, and that made me start crying again. Honestly, it all got a bit ridiculous, and we both ended up laughing through the... When I calmed down, I started explaining what I'd been thinking. I told her that something we talked about a lot in our hypothetical scenarios had actually happened. I reminded her that she'd always said she wouldn't want to know what, and I gave her the option. Then I gave her the letter without even opening it. She started crying too, and that made me start crying again. It all got a bit silly, and we ended up laughing while we stood in her living room, sobbing over each other. A lot of people had guessed that Kate might have noticed something or already had an idea of Gabe's feelings, and you were absolutely right. But it's even weirder than that. I can't believe I'm explaining this. It's just bizarre. I don't even know. Kate admitted that she had noticed something strange about Gabe. She thought he had a little crush on me. People in relationships sometimes do things like that, but when I didn't talk to her about it. She started feeling uncomfortable, and then she did something she probably shouldn't have. A few months ago, she looked through his laptop and found a file with my initials on it, hidden among other files. She went and got his laptop and gave it to me to read while she read my letter. Inside the folder were stories like fan fiction about the three of us living a polyamorous lifestyle, where we were both his wives. Some of the stories were sexual, which was fine. I guess I could understand it if it was just fantasies, but there were also some really detailed documents about our lives together. It was pretty deep too. One storyline was about him trying to convince me to have kids, which, for context, I've always been clear about not wanting to have children. There were lots of stories and they were all different lengths. I didn't read all of them. I just skimmed a few. To be honest, it was weird and disturbing to read about myself like that. I think I could understand some of the stories if they were just fantasies, but there were also some really detailed documents about our lives together. One story was about him trying to convince me to have kids, even though I've always been clear about not wanting to have children. There were lots of stories and they were all different lengths. I didn't read all of them, just skimmed a few. To be honest, it was really disturbing to read about myself like that. Kate also hadn't seen some of the newer documents. She told me that at first she hadn't minded because she was included in the stories too. It made her feel reassured that he still loved her, but she was not comfortable with the fact that I was part of their life in that way. She had been disturbed by the way he spoke to me in the messages I showed her. I asked if she felt safe and she assured me that she did. I asked what she wanted to do and she said she wanted to leave him. She also apologized for not telling me sooner. I didn't like that, but I didn't say anything. I thought I'd give it a bit of time. I know she doesn't need me to judge her right now, and to be honest, I was just glad she wasn't angry about me bursting her bubble. I'm here for her, and I'll support her. I didn't expect that visit to go the way it did. After some back and forth, I started worrying about her safety. Gabe doesn't seem dangerous, but his behavior is obsessive, and with his fantasy becoming less achievable thanks to Max being involved, and now this. I was worried he might do something. I was also worried about Max's safety, but I couldn't tell if I was being paranoid. Kate told me that she felt completely safe. Gabe had never done anything that was particularly worrying, but she was still taking precautions. She got up, grabbed her suitcases and started packing. Typical Kate. She gave me instructions about what to grab from around the house while she packed. She also wrote a note for Gabe explaining that she didn't think they should be an item anymore, so I'd only talk to him about it over messages or in person a few days later in a public place. I told her I carry a USB stick on my keychain, and I said I wanted to take copies of the stories. I said that if anything happened, even if she didn't think it would, we needed evidence of his obsessive behavior. She agreed, so I now have a USB stick full of stories and playlists about myself, my best friend, and her ex. I won't lie, I'm really curious to read them, but I've managed to resist so far. Afterwards, we went to my place to figure out what to do next. Kate was, understandably, a bit all over the place and emotional. I told Max everything, and he said that Kate could stay with him, because Gabe doesn't know where he lives. Kate preferred to stay at a nearby hotel, so we paid for that. When she got comfortable, she asked to be alone, which is normal for her when she's upset. I've been checking on her a lot recently, and she's been in touch with me a lot too, so I'm pretty sure she's coping, even if she is understandably feeling a bit down. I'm staying with Max for now until things have calmed down a bit. I've been getting messages from Gabe since around 5 p.m. that night, and it's now been 2 days. They just want to talk. The messages are not aggressive, but they are ongoing. I was going to block him, but Kate asked me not to, as she's worried about his mental state. I don't want to criticize poly relationships, just to be clear. I think it's strange how people are so obsessed with me in a secret way. It's all happened in a pretty weird way, you know? You just don't drag me into it. Lastly, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who commented, especially those who took the time to write detailed advice, send good vibes, or PM me. You were all so kind, and I really appreciate all the support and thoughtful responses. Up shares a little about the fanfic. I had a lapse and checked one of the playlists, but then I saw that new pop. I switched off the radio as soon as I heard the song with the Jonas Brother guy in it. I don't want to ruin any of the songs I like by being reminded of them when they come on the radio. I think it's weird that I feel more embarrassed for him than creeped out. I cringed so hard at one of the parts that I read that I made an entirely new facial expression. It was like, oh no, I'm cringing even now remembering it. Then there was the time he woke up one morning and walked into our living room, and Stormy ran up to him and threw her arms around him. Then they made breakfast together. I stopped reading when it started getting sexual. It's this combined with aggressive behavior towards Max, and the hourly messages I'm getting that leads me to call him obsessive. Also, these documents aren't little stories. There aren't just a few of them. The biggest document is over 50,000 words. There are 22 documents in all, though 3 of them are lists of random stuff. He has also been writing them for over a year. Comment update. 1 year later, commenter. So what happened? Did Gabe just leave? The more I read, the crazier he seemed. I hope your friend is all right. He didn't actually. It's all over now, but there was more drama after my post. I know it's a lot to take in, but I feel like posting about it here might be a bit rude or against the rules since there was police involved. I'll say that everyone is fine though. It's been a while since then. It's still strange to think back on it.